Just as he finished speaking, a faint but sharp moan echoed from his side of the call, hurriedly muffled, but unmistakable. The sound pierced through me like a needle to my eardrum. We are all adults. No matter how naive I wanted to be, I wasn't stupid. I knew exactly what that sound was. My heart plummeted. Tonight, after an exhausting shift, my daughter had scolded me. My husband had forgotten my birthday, and now he was sleeping with another woman. I stood frozen, staring at the ruined cake on the floor, its cream smeared into a mess just like the wreckage of my life. A notification lit up my phone screen. Happy birthday. It was from the bank. I let out a hollow laugh. The only birthday greeting I had received. Mechanically, I cleaned up the mess, then sank onto the sofa. My body weighed down with exhaustion. Out of habit, I opened my Instagram feed, and then I saw it. Adele's latest post. A woman slender, shoulders leaning against a man's broad chest, his face intentionally cropped out. 3 live photos. Different locations. The bathroom, the kitchen, the bedroom. The caption, 99 progress in the strategy. My breath caught. My fingers trembled as I clicked on the images. The moment they loaded, the accompanying sound played, one I could barely stomach. A man's heavy, desperate panting. It was like a bolt of lightning striking my last shred of rationality. I knew that voice. I had spent years by Jude's side. How could I not recognize it? And when I looked closer, my stomach twisted. There, on his collarbone, was a distinct dent, one that had never faded since the day he got injured saving me. The second image was of Adele's manicured fingers, hooked around his collar, her nails blending under the light. My breath turned shallow. The man who had always been reserved, almost restrained with me, was now utterly unrestrained with someone else. My hands shook as I zoomed in, desperately searching for proof that it wasn't him. But hope was short-lived, because on Adele's finger, I spotted a ring that looked painfully familiar. A few days ago, I had stumbled upon it in Jude's study drawer. I had assumed it was a surprise for me, a birthday gift he was waiting to give. I had spent days looking forward to it, imagining the moment he'd slip it onto my finger. But now, that ring was on another woman's hand. I had been a fool who had clung to memories of the past, to the version of him that once worked extra shifts as a deliveryman just to buy me a diamond ring. I still remember the way he smiled when he handed me the gift box, the joy in his eyes. Kareem, I will give you even better things in the future. His sincerity was so overwhelming that I fell in love with him all over again. On our wedding night, he held me close, his voice sincere and raw. If I can't conquer you, I will die. Kareem, I'm so glad you've taken control of my life, because I love you. But that night, I woke up in the middle of a dream. The wind outside had blown the window open, and the curtains swayed wildly. Jude, only silence answered me, an empty, echoing void. I hated that feeling of loneliness in the past. Jude would hold me tight at moments like this, whispering that it was the feeling of home. I had grown up with parents who had been separated since I was young. The love I received was nothing more than a monthly allowance and obligatory greetings. It was Jude's presence that had filled my life with light. He once told me I didn't have to be so independent, that he could be my support. 10 years have passed. A lot had changed. The cold wind had blown too long, and now, dizziness and fever gripped me. I prepared breakfast for my daughter, who had just had tonsil surgery and could only eat light foods, but she cried, lying on the floor, demanding fried meatballs from Adele. I let her cry. Then, I sent a message to Jude no matter where he was. I couldn't ignore my daughter. He didn't reply. So, I took my daughter to the nursery. After I had settled everything, I was caught off guard when the first patient to walk into my office was none other than Adele, and Jude was right behind her. The other colleagues in the office, unaware of the situation, began to tease him. Professor Langston is here to see Dr. Kareem. That's enviable. Breakfast for Dr. Kareem too? This display of affection in the hospital? I can't stand it. But they didn't know the truth. Jude wasn't there for me. He came with Adele. He smiled but didn't say a word, creating space between me and her. He didn't want to explain anything. Adele pulled the suit jacket from Jude's shoulders and draped it over herself. When she looked at me, her gaze was full of provocation. Dr. Langston, can you help me? My boyfriend was too rough with me yesterday, and I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable now. She knocked on the table when she saw that I remained calm. Dr. Langston, do you know why he's like this with me and not with other women? Does he love me so much that he's this wild with me?